Welcome to Wines du Jour. We're here on Paradise Road in Las Vegas, right in front of one of my favorite tapas, Spanish type food, Firefly. It's been here for about 20 years. They have two other locations here in Las Vegas. The food is excellent, and if you like tapas, this is the place to check it out. Chef John Simmons is the one that owns it, and he's an excellent chef. I'll tell you a little bit about him a little bit later. Now we have three wines tonight coming to us from Sonoma, California. That is Murphy Good is the label, and it's in the northeast part of Sonoma. And Dave Reddy is the winemaker who was going to be here this evening, but something came up. He wasn't not going to be able to make it. So we'll talk about his wines even though he's not here. The wines are outstanding. Now we're going to pair food with wine like we always do here on Wines du Jour. And I have to tell you that the food the chef John has put together is really good to go along with these. I have a special guest tonight too. It's my sommelier extraordinaire, Jack Giroux. I want to introduce you to him, so if you'll come with me, I'll take you in there and introduce you to him. Thanks for watching Wines du Jour. Welcome back. Firefly is the restaurant that we're in, which is known for its tapas and Spanish cuisine here in Las Vegas. And I mentioned before, while we were outside, that I want to introduce you to my special guest tonight. You know, we've been in the wine business since 1980s. I was in diapers at the time. And shortly after that, I met the gentleman sitting next to me who is, without a doubt, and I want him to close his ears for a moment, without a doubt, one of the most knowledgeable wine aficionados that I happen to know. And there's like 30 some odd master sommeliers here in Las Vegas, and I put his knowledge up with each and every one of them, no question. His name is Jack Giroux. And Jack, thank you very much for taking time out of your very busy schedule. I know you 7 days a week this guy works, to come over here and spend some time with us on Wines du Jour.
Yes, and you get to be the 8th day.
I get to be, yeah, that's right.
Thank you.
Well, tonight we have 3 different wines, as we normally do, from Murphy Good Winery. Now, Murphy Good is in Sonoma, in the northeast part of Sonoma, actually, and those 3 wines are very, very tasty. In addition to that, Chef John Simmons has put together some food to go along with it, which we're going to talk about to pair with each one of those wines. So I want to thank you for watching Wines du Jour. We got to go. We'll be back right after these messages.
Switch to DirecTV today and get a free upgrade to the all-new Genie, our most advanced HD DVR ever. Genie serves your entire home with just one receiver, allows you to record any 5 shows at once, and gives you up to 3 times more HD recording capacity than cable. Order now and lock in your savings for 2 years. Other packages start at just $29.99 a month. So get all your TV wishes granted. Switch to DirecTV and get your free upgrade to Genie today.
Welcome back to Wines du Jour. We're going to start out this evening with our first wine, which is a Sauvignon Blanc from Murphy Good. They call it the Fume, and I guess the story goes back to probably the 1970s when Robert Mondavi came out with the Fume Blanc. I think he's actually given credit for coming up with that name, which was a Sauvignon Blanc with the French style of the Sauvignon Blanc called Fume. So Fume Blanc was something he put on the market, and for some reason it kind of jumped off the shelves, where years before Sauvignon Blanc didn't sell too well. How does that go along with you in the way you think?
Well, absolutely. I mean, actually in Puy-Fumé in France, the Sauvignon Blanc grape is called Blanc Fumé. So Bob went ahead and took it and switched it around, called it Fumé Blanc. And he started making the Sauvignon Blanc with a little bit of a wood character to it, just to make it a little bit different than everything else that was out there.
Right.
And the name, and of course the marketing background that he had, the support that he had, really did just that. Got it to jump off the shelves. And for a long time there were both styles. Now it goes back and forth. People decide which name they like, and that's the one they put on the bottle.
Yeah, well, I thought it was very humorous. The first year that Robert Mondavi put out Fume Blanc, underneath Fume Blanc, he put in parenthesis Sauvignon Blanc.
Right.
So the people that did know a little bit about wine knew that it was the same grape. The following year, because no one else had the time to do it that same year, the following year so many people came out with Sauvignon Blanc, with Fumé Blanc in parenthesis under it, or vice versa. And so goes the story of Fumé. So the Fumé at this particular winery, Murphy Good, is really kind of unique. It's got a beautiful taste to it. You saw me pour a little bit. It has a Stelvin closure, or for those that are just normal people, not trying to be facetious in any way, just call it a screw cap. That's really what it is. And along with that, Chef Simon has put together, or Simmons, I'm sorry, has put together a little bit of shrimp with a little bit of butternut puree, which, how bad can that be? So I don't know about you. Let's take a whiff and see what we come up with this Sauvignon Blanc. Incidentally, this was aged in 50-50. Part of the time it was French oak, and part of the time it was American oak. And boy, you know, I'm going to ask Jack if he can tell us, because people realize that there must be a difference between American oak and French oak, but they're not really sure what it is. Experts like Jack Giroux can taste it and tell you this was aged in French oak, or this was aged in American oak. I don't know how they do that necessarily, but I'm going to ask Jack to explain. Could you do that?
Well, sure. I mean, basically, there's a difference in the nature of the wood itself. The American wood tends to be more open as far as the grains of the wood, so there's a little bit more extraction. So whereas we get the vanilla and the baking spices in the French oak, we get more of a almost coconut and a little bit of a sweet and sour sauce and wood shop character out of the American oak. So what it does is it makes the fruit appear a bit sweeter, even though the fruit has no sugar to it at all.
Got it.
So it's a very interesting, and it's a great way to be able to add depth in the wines.
Right. Well, this retails for about $14 a bottle all across the country. It's available just about everywhere. If you go to your local wine store and they don't happen to have it, just tell them to order it. It's available. They can get it, and you're going to do it. My suggestion is, when you go to buy any Murphy Good product, don't buy one bottle, buy 2 or 3, because once you taste it, you're going to want to do it again and probably share with your friends. So let's taste this shrimp with the butternut squash. You can take the one on top, I'll take the other one, and just see how it goes.
Okay, there we go. All right. I'm actually going to cut a little piece here.
Sure, go ahead. Well, we know by itself it's very tasty, but I think it's going to taste a little better when we have a little fumé, huh?
Yeah, it's good.
Very nice.
That little butternut squash puree gives that little bit of a sweet character to the wine that really goes well with the wood character that's in the wine.
Right. So it's not identical things. It's kind of counteractive.
Right.
So that's one of the problems people have, it seems, when they try to pair food and wine. They try to match everything, and many times the opposites are actually better than if you did do it together. Am I right?
Right. I mean, there's 2 basic ways. You can either do contrast or comparable, and they both work, but they both give you a different experience when you're going ahead and having it.
There you go. So when we come back, we're going to taste a little more Murphy Good. We're going to try a new one that has a great story behind it called Homefront Red. There's like 5 different varietals all blended together. We'll talk about that. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after these messages.
Switch to DirecTV today and get a free upgrade to the all-new Genie, our most advanced HD DVR ever. Genie serves your entire home with just one receiver, allows you to record any 5 shows at once, and gives you up to 3 times more HD recording capacity than cable. Order now and lock in your savings for 2 years. Other packages start at just $29.99 a month. So get all your TV wishes granted. Switch to DirecTV and get your free upgrade to Genie today.
Welcome back. Murphy Good is our wine this evening at Firefly, that Spanish tapas kitchen here in Las Vegas. In fact, you know, they have 3 different locations all around town. So no matter what part of the town you're in, you can find little tapas without a problem whatsoever. Our second wine is Murphy Good, but it's simply called Homefront Red. Now, I just need to tell you, this is how great this winery is, Murphy Good. They have gone out and worked with a foundation that works with the emergency situations for warriors. Let's call them wounded warriors and their families. They need assistance. So a portion of the money coming from this wine sales goes to the Wounded Warrior program. Now I want to tell you, a lot of charities are around, and a lot of them get a lot of money, but they use a lot, you know, like the executive director gets 80% of everything they collect, you know, that kind of thing. 94% of all the funds that they collect goes to the wounded warriors and their family. That's a good thing. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the food now. The food here is a chicken and rice with peas, and it just seems to be, I haven't tasted it yet, it just seems to be, it's going to be a perfect pairing. So let's try a little bit of wine and talk a little bit about Homefront Red. Homefront Red has a beautiful color to it, doesn't it, Jack? And we know that it has a few different varietals blended together, which I think makes for a pretty terrific thing. Well, that means that they have a little Syrah, a little Merlot, a little Petit Syrah, and one of my favorite varietals, Zinfandel, all blended together. What do you think?
It's good. It's tasty. It's really a food-oriented kind of wine, the way they got it put together. Lots of berry characteristics.
Well, I guess.
Very new world style. That blackberry, raspberry, that plummy, smoky kind of character really kind of comes through. It's really, you would think it is heavier than it is. It's kind of more medium-bodied than full-bodied, which actually should work better with the chicken dish.
Right. So, this is also 13.5% alcohol. I commend them for that. You know, if you've watched Wines du Jour in the past, you know I'm not a big fan of high alcohol wines, mainly because high alcohol and food don't necessarily go very well together. So this is good. Let's taste this chicken and rice and see what we can come up with as far as a pairing. See if the chef did a good job, which I'm sure he did.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's pretty tasty.
Mm-hmm.
That's not bad at all, is it?
No, it almost tastes like he's got a little peanut oil or something.
I think,
in
yeah,
there.
peanuts, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The red is some type of a bell pepper. They've got peas in there, rice. It's not an uncommon Spanish type dish. You know, the Spaniards love rice. I don't know if you're aware of that or not. And this is a Spanish restaurant where they feature tapas. Tapas just simply means small plates. Instead of having a full course meal, they put 2 or 3 bites of food on a smaller plate. And the way it originally started was competition was pretty keen in Spain, so some of the bar owners decided, hey, if we not only sell the booze, but we can also sell a little bit of food. So the way to do that is to attract people. And the way they did that is they take a glass with your wine or beer or whatever you ordered, and they put a little tapa on it with a few bites of food to go along with it. And that's where the name tapas came from. Does that agree with you?
That sounds
Almost.
good. I like that.
You like that
good.
one? Okay.
That was a good one. I like that. That's fine.
So the idea is to have you have a little bit of food along with your beverage. And as we say, wine is food. So that makes sense to us, and it certainly does to the Spaniards. It worked very well because almost every restaurant and every bar in particular has tapas now all over Spain, huh?
Absolutely. And they're very big, particularly in the south of Spain.
Yeah, and it's really good. The food is good. They started out with simple things like shrimp and a couple other items, maybe a little bit of oysters and so on. And then it's just grown to all kinds of different types of food that the Spaniards like. So that's a good thing. We need to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about wine number 3, which is called Liar's Dice. What the hell is that? Well, Liar's Dice is just strictly the name that Murphy Good put on it. We have David Reddy. He's kind of a gambler. He loves to play cards and so on, and that's the way this all started. I'll tell you the story when we come back, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after these messages. Thanks for watching Wines du Jour.
Switch to DirecTV today and get a free upgrade to the all-new Genie, our most advanced HD DVR ever. Genie serves your entire home with just one receiver, allows you to record any 5 shows at once, and gives you up to 3 times more HD recording capacity than cable. Order now and lock in your savings for 2 years. Other packages start at just $29.99 a month. So get all your TV wishes granted. Switch to DirecTV and get your free upgrade to Genie today.
Welcome back to Firefly, the Spanish tapas kitchen here in Las Vegas, and we're featuring this beautiful tonight, Liar's Dice Zinfandel. I want to tell you a little bit about Liar's Dice. For all you people watching that live in California, you probably already know about Liar's Dice. It's not a new term for you. If you go to your local pub, it's not uncommon to take these 3 little dice in 2 different cups, and you roll them out, and the best one has the best numbers wins a free drink. That's basically what it's all about. Well, I told you before we went to the break that Dave Reddy loves to play cards and gamble a little bit, so Liar's Dice was not something uncommon to his group. However, when they're making wines, it's typical for everybody to get to the winery early in the morning and everybody have breakfast together. And yes, they're in the wine business, so they have a little wine with their breakfast.
Very good.
That's not a bad thing. But the good part is they started playing Liar's Dice. And somebody says, you know what, we ought to call this Zin Liar's Dice. That was the way it started out, and it ended up being right on the label. So Liar's Dice is something that you can order. It runs about $15 a bottle. It's available all across the country. And so make sure that you have an opportunity to get some to check it out. It's 100% Zinfandel, just so that you know. Zinfandel happens to be what we refer to affectionately as the American grape, huh? Even though it started in Europe, most people think it came from Italy, but it actually started out of Croatia and then to Italy, and then the Italians brought it to California when everybody was moving to the new country to make a new living, huh?
Very good. Yes, absolutely.
That's okay?
Absolutely correct. I love it.
Yeah. Well, and the fun part is Zinfandel happens to go very, very well with a lot of different kinds of food. You know, Cabernet Sauvignon might be the most popular red wine in the whole world as far as consumption goes, but Zinfandel is considered by most people as the American grape, even though it didn't originate here. However, Zinfandel and barbecue were made for each other. Zinfandel and burgers were made for each other. Any kind of spicy flavors, even some kinds of Thai food. Did that throw you a little bit? No?
It's okay.
Some kinds of Thai food, because it's so spicy, Zinfandel goes very well with. Not all Thai food, obviously. But Zinfandel is also a wine that you can sit down and maybe have a glass around the pool or in front of the fireplace, you know, depending on what time of the year it is. How do you feel about Zinfandel?
Well, there's a lot of stylistic variation, which is what I think you were referring to,
Yeah.
as to how you can make the wine. It can be, you know, big, over-the-top, black in color, just really highly extracted,
Right.
or it can be, in some cases, even down to the white Zinfandel, which is going to be a blush wine and everything in between. This has been around for at least 20 years, this particular wine, and it's got lots of fruit character to it, a little bit smoky. It's not really super overpowering. It's more of an old style Zinfandel, meaning that it's not high alcoholic and not highly extracted. So that actually makes it a better food wine. So it's a very good wine to be able to have, and it's got lots of fruit, and again, that smoky, woody, slight peppery note in there is always a good thing.
Yeah, and I love the beautiful color of this. This is very nice, isn't it?
Yeah, this is actually darker than the
It's
other.
got, you know, I happen to like Zinfandel, so I'm probably partial, but the nose on this is almost sensual. You know, it really has a beautiful nose that's complementary to wine.
Yeah, it's violet with pepper.
Yeah, and then a little bit of oak comes out into this, and it's not overpowering at all. Again, it's about 15.4% alcohol. Zinfandel typically is high in alcohol compared to a lot of others, believe it or not. It just seems like everybody waits for those grapes on the vine to really mature before they pull them off, which ends up with more alcohol.
Yeah, well, it does. Well, the Zinfandel actually ripens very early compared to other grapes.
Right.
So you're going to get a higher sugar content, and the higher sugar content translates into higher alcohol. When they make the big one, I mean, this is 15%, but when they make the big ones like the old Turleys and stuff, those were 16, 17% alcohol.
I know.
Huge.
Well, just, you know, Jack mentioned 16 or 17%. I want to mention something that I think is important for you to know for, you know, for trivia, if nothing else. The maximum, according to our government and its infinite wisdom, of percentage of alcohol in a bottle of wine from a tax point of view is 16%. So you can literally make a wine that has 16% alcohol in it and pay the same tax as if it had 11.5 or 13 or whatever the case may be. However, if it goes to 17%, then it goes into the next tax structure, which would be what we refer to affectionately as a fortified wine, which would be like port, sherry, Madeira, one of those types of wines where it's fortified with generally brandy. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, basically what's happening is that the tax is based on alcohol. So the more alcohol you got, the more tax you're going to pay.
Okay, now let me just tell you something that's a little bit unique. Number one, the government says 16% alcohol. And then if you read down a couple paragraphs later, it says you can be up to 1.5% wrong.
Right.
So you have a leeway of 1.5%. So you say 16%, you could go all the way to 17.5% and be legally 16% according to the label and the tax. Am I correct?
Right. And actually, you can. It's really 3% because it's 1.5% either way.
Either way, that's right.
So it can drop. You could drop it down to 14.5, or you could go ahead and say that you got 17.
So
and it's all legal.
Taxes are a little bit unique. Well, we're going to have a little. I mean, we know what this is. Let's try this with the Zinfandel, huh? You grab one and I'll grab one.
Well, we'll just get that because you don't have a plate. Up. Just gonna cover this there.
Well, it looks good, doesn't it?
No, I'm gonna get the napkin.
Yeah,
That's okay.
There you go. Just pick it up. That boy. That's the way we eat barbecue anyway.
That's the way.
That's when we call it barbecue instead of barbecue. So let's take a little taste. Oh, good. You wear it, you eat it.
This is the real way you do it, folks.
That's right. Wow.
Yep. And as you say, barbecue and Zinfandel.
Well, I mean, this is a beautiful pairing. If you ever, you know, had any kind of confusion as to how much food and how much wine or what to pair and what not to pair, this would be a down and dirty, easy way to do it. Barbecue and Zinfandel. Jack, thank you very much for coming with us. We appreciate it. You think? This
Very
is
good.
to you. Thanks for watching Wines du Jour. We'll see you next time.
Switch to DirecTV today and get a free upgrade to the all-new Genie, our most advanced HD DVR ever. Genie serves your entire home with just one receiver, allows you to record any 5 shows at once, and gives you up to 3 times more HD recording capacity than cable. Order now and lock in your savings for 2 years. Other packages start at just $29.99 a month. So get all your TV wishes granted. Switch to DirecTV and get your free upgrade to Genie today.